I've recently entered my 20s and I wanted to make a clear path for how they can be enjoyed. And I feel this way just because nowadays time passes by so quickly. It's easy to have time pass you by and you just don't even notice it until the new year comes along. So I'm going to go over 6 ideas that lay down a foundation for how your 20s should be spent. Now, I'm not just pulling things out of my ass. I did take some time to research the topics that I'm going to talk about, but you should always take everything with a grain of salt. So number 1, I wanted to touch on, your daily habits, what you do on a day-to-day basis, and what you consume, because it's very important. The reason why it's important is because your brain stops fully developing by age 25 usually. And I feel like this is common knowledge, but it's just important to be reminded of the fact. And according to Harvard Medical School, the prefrontal cortex, which is used for planning and impulse control, develops past age 20 and into your mid-20s, which also has to do with your attention, memory, and learning ability. So you could see how this would have some pretty drastic changes on your life. Some habits that will help you during your physical development would be physical activity, sleep and diet, social interaction, and meditation. Habits that will help your personal development would be reading, networking, and setting short and long-term goals. Although locking yourself into a strict belief system that consumes only healthy information gives you a limited view on the world and yourself, you also shouldn't get married to the idea of only consuming things that are good for you. Your 20s are for exploring, despite wanting to grow and learn beneficial lessons. Topic number 2 is going to be pick a career that's attainable at an entry level, and then try moving up from there. The reason why I think this is a good idea is because depending on where you start, you can build up your skills and go from there and gain experience. I feel like this action in itself gives you a newly found direction if you're looking for it, and some people really do need a direction to go in. For example, I went from being a tire and lube tech when I was 19 to wanting to be a salesman. I wanted to use my knowledge of cars and automotive to make sales instead of being a laborer. And this was a big jump for me, especially because the pay was a lot higher from being just a regular laborer, tires and lube, and then going into sales where you could earn commission and also have a higher pay rate in general. But I only got this opportunity because of all the knowledge that I had gained from doing tires and from doing oil. So I would say that overall the sacrifice that I made in that time period was definitely worth it because I was able to obtain a career in sales. And I think there has to be a balance between work and the ability to explore in your 20s, because work isn't everything. You might get trapped in doing work and then you don't explore enough and you miss out on opportunities. Sometimes people run out of energy due to working all week, and we all just want to rest at the end of the week naturally, although it's important to make time to try new things that you've been wanting to explore. But my point is, don't take your career intensely seriously in your 20s, because there's other things that you can do that you can be successful with, and don't lock yourself down to that. Topic number 3 has been very important to me, but I also throw it out the window at times. And topic number 3 is money habits. The money habits you have early on will affect you down the road, and this is easily overlooked just because many people have no idea how much money they're making and how much money they're spending. Outlining your income and expenses is important because then you can actually be accurate and effective with saving. Then, of course, as most of you know, in your 20s, time is on your side. So using that saved money to invest is important. And I know this firsthand because I've been investing since I was 16. And it's definitely been something that's changed my life. And even if you're afraid to take the chance of investing or don't know much about it, look into ticker symbol VOO. On average over the last 10 years, the S&P 500 returns 15%. According to S&P Global. 15% is nothing to take for granted. In fact, if you were to have $15,000 in VOO, you would earn an average approximately of $2,250 based on this metric annually. And not only that, you do also get dividends paid quarterly, which would amount to approximately $483 per year. And just to zoom out even further, if you had held for 30 years on average, you would receive 10%. And this isn't the only thing that you can do. It's just an example of a very safe bet long term. I personally don't just invest in VOO. I also like to venture out and invest into other stocks, but this is just my example. Topic number 4 is going to be who you let into your life. Who you let into your life is extremely important in your 20s because during this crucial decade, you're forming your identity, developing your brain, laying a foundation for your future. So you're going to want to choose a good environment for that. And putting yourself in a healthier, more challenging environment is going to force you to adapt, even if it's just a little bit. A social environment can be very powerful for growth early on in your 20s. Some examples of how you could build value-driven connections is through Discord, LinkedIn, industry forums, and social media. Topic number 5 is building
It's kind of vague, but you'll understand what I mean by the time I'm done explaining. This topic ties into finances and career. There's a lot of ways you can build something in your 20s, although my main point lies in gaining leverage by developing skills. Some notable skills to have early on are critical thinking, financial literacy, communication, and some sort of technical skill. For example, as my technical skill, I chose sales, and I feel like this has helped me so much to develop my Zoomer brain in all the categories I just mentioned. Although I just happened to land on this skill and profession, people can make a lot of money through labor and other careers.
Now, I'm aware these aren't the caveman times. You don't necessarily have to be in a quote unquote challenging environment, because forcing yourself to be in a challenging environment so early without any previous progress might cause you to be uncomfortable and make you shy away from that environment. So it's important to start small and ease into it and let momentum build. Take pride in small wins, but don't limit yourself to them. Topic number 6 is attention, memory, and learning. I feel like nowadays it's very easy to abuse substances, whether you've been diagnosed with something or not. You might even be affected by something that isn't a substance. Regardless, I have 3 main developmental skills. These are attention, memory, and learning. To develop these abilities the best, I would get my sleep and exercise in order, as well as my eating and diet. I would start small depending on your situation and build up from there. For me, I got the ball rolling by cleaning and taking care of chores each day. Just keeping up with these habits each day got me used to working on something day in and day out. The choices made in your 20s matter, but they shouldn't become cages that limit your growth. Good habits, smart financial decisions, and intentional relationships can build a strong foundation, yet life can't be fully designed at an age when identity is still forming. Early structure can provide direction, but too much certainty can prevent exploration, creativity, and self-discovery. Growth requires room to experiment, to fail in different ways, and to question the person you thought you were becoming. The goal of your 20s should not be to lock in a finished version of yourself, but to gather experiences that shape a wiser, more adaptable future. Balance is what ultimately creates a meaningful life.